From the moment she stood on her father's rickety old picnic table at age 7, holding a microphone made of cardboard and duct tape, Naomi Eloise Washington believed without a shred of doubt that she would become the first female president of the United States. Her voice, high-pitched and coated in sugar of childhood certainty, declared boldly to the neighborhood cats, "I will make broccoli illegal and homework a crime punishable by law." The squirrels applauded well. In her imagination, they did, and her mother, peeking from the kitchen window, nearly choked on her Diet Coke laughing. The vision was set. Naomi wasn't just any girl from Southside Chicago. She was, as her third grade teacher once muttered under her breath, a 40-year-old woman trapped in a child body with the confidence of Kanye West on espresso. Naomi grew up in a two-bedroom apartment with paint peeling like post-winter bark and a radiator that hissed like angry cats. Her father, a mechanic who could talk to engines better than humans, barely spoke unless it was about torque converters. Her mother, a school janitor with a laugh loud enough to wake dead dreams, was the heart of the home and the unofficial mayor of the neighborhood. "If you want to run office," her mother would say, slapping oil stains off her uniform, "start by fixing the toilet before you fix the country." Naomi took it seriously. She organized toilet cleaning schedules, implemented a 5-step toothbrush inspection program, and held mock debates on whether bedtime should be abolished. Her campaign slogans were magnetic. Her dollhouse council was terrified of her leadership, especially Barbie, who got impeached for tax fraud. High school was when things get weird. Naomi became known as the Policy Queen, a nickname gifted by a jealous-prone queen candidate whose glitter campaign ended in disaster when Naomi out-debated her on the ethics of spray tan. Naomi wasn't interested in parties unless it was a town hall themed sleepover where everyone brought a pillow and grievance. She joined the debate team and annihilated every Ivy League, hopefully within a 5-mile radius, earning the admiration of her coach and the fear of her romantic prospects. Boys liked her, sure, but not enough to survive a date where she interrogated them about foreign policy over coily fries. "Are you pro-sanctions or pro-negotiations?" Shidu asked sweetly, dipping fries into ketchup. I'm pro-caste." One of them replied once. He was never seen again. But dreams, even big ones, get rerouted. But the chaos of life. At 18, Naomi got a scholarship to Yale and she left with 3 suitcases, a tattered copy of Michael Obama's biography, and a heart full of purpose. Yale was where her ambition found new fuel and new enemies. Her roommate, Perezphone, called me Seth. Delacroix had come from a long line of senators, wore loafers like they were holy relics, and had a trust fund bigger than the GDPs of some nations. She took one look at Naomi's thrift store blazer and said, "Ow, how quaint. Your outfit screams future schoolboard choir and cheer." Naomi smiled back and said, "And yours screams entitled hedge fund villain." It was love at first snack, or war. Sometimes those things are indistinguishable. Naomi climbed the rank quickly, out debating, out organizing, and out charming even the cruelest old professors. Her thesis on gender bias in electoral politics won awards and hate mail. She even got invited to a private dinner with Ruth Bader Ginsburg's niece. That night, over a plate of shrimp, lingering and deep existential questions, Naomi vowed to herself that nothing would stop her. But then, came her first heartbreak. Not the romantic kind, those she dodged like potholes on Chicago's road, but a betrayal so subtle and personal it cracked something inside her. Seth, her frenemy turned campaign partner, leaked Naomi's confidential speech draft to the opposing campus candidate and painted her as too aggressive for a woman in leadership. The whispers multiplied like flies. Naomi, the girl who wanted to be president, suddenly found herself branded difficult, intimidating, and a liability. The irony wasn't lost on her. If she do being a man, she do call her commanding. Broke, but bowed. Naomi finished her degrees and applied to a dozens of graduate programs, every single one rejecting her for being overqualified or too ambitious for a collaborative environment. She took a job as a barrister in DC to stay close to the heartbeat of politics. By day, she frothed almost almond milk with the precision of a surgeon. By night, she worked on policy blogs and volunteered for local campaigns. She lived off caffeines, dreams, and ramen. Her apartment was the size of a walk-in closet, but she taped a giant cutout of the White House to her wall and stared it every night before sleeping on a quickie futon. She still believed, but now belief had teeth. It beat her whenever reality slapped too hard. One rainy night, a man in a soaked hoodie walked into her coffee shop and ordered a complicated chai latte that sounded like a spell. Naomi rolled her eyes and whipped it up like a magician under pressure. He took one sip, looked at her name tag, and said, "You ever think of running for mayor? You've got that piece of energy that moves cities." She laughed, brushing it off, but something about the man stuck. He was Senator Grayson Wolf's chief AD. She found out weeks later when he returned with an offer. "There's a special election. We need a fighter, someone the people can relate to. You want in?" Naomi blinked. "Me? I'm a barrister who blogs about policy." Exactly, he replied. "You are unbuzzed, and unknown. Three things voters are desperate for." She entered the race like a tornado disguised as a political aide. Her campaign was raw, gritty, and entirely self-funded, with tips, donations from fellow barristers, and a GoFundMe powered by memes. Her slogans were wide: "Let's caffeinate democracy," and "Vote Naomi." Because she knows the grind. People laughed until they listened. Naomi held down halls in laundromats, met voters in parking lots, and debated her opponent at a roller rink. She won by 438 votes and became the youngest city council member in her state history. Overnight, she went from late art to legislative art. Her life transformed, but with transformation came bigger enemies, higher stakes, and a secret that would later turn her world upside down. It started with a manila envelope, no written address, just her name, written in block letters. Inside were photos, documents, and a single post. Its note: "You reality think we will let you climb higher?" The photos were from her college days, a protest she led against tuition hikes and turned aggressive when police got involved. She'd been falsely accused of inciting violence, and the university had quietly buried the charges to avoid scandal. Naomi's heart pounded. She had three choices: resign, hide, or fight. She chose to fight. But the price? The media chewed her up, dragged her names across tabloids, and sponsors began to pull out. Seth, now a political consultant with a grudge, went on national television and called her a ticking time bomb of radical politics. Amid the chaos, Naomi remembered something her mother once said while unclogging the bathroom sink. You can't fix a damn thing if you're scared of the mess and the mess. So she leaned into the mess. She addressed the controversy head on, tearfully admitted to her youthful rage, and made a public call for transparency in politics. The speech went viral. For the first time, people didn't see her as an angry black woman. They saw her as a human, flawed, fierce, real. Donations surged. Her approval rating climbed, but unknown to her, someone from her past was lurking in the shadows, planning a takedown not just of her campaign, but of her entire belief and system. The man from her past wasn't a stranger. He was a ghost wrapped in a corduroy and cologne, a walking reminder of the one time Naomi let her guard down romantically and paid for it with tears, therapy, and a temporary deleted Twitter account. Marcus Lane had been her colleague's study partner, a smooth-talking Lego major with revolutionary dreams and the morals of a raccoon. He loved quoting Malcolm X, hated paying for dates, and once gave her a Valentine card that read, "You challenged me, and that's why I ignored your text." Their relationship was a train wreck conducted by hormones and bad decision. But Naomi, at the end, was so hungry for connection that she convinced herself it was love. Marcus knew her weak points and weaknesses, her doubts, her fears, her secret desire to be seen as soft, even when the world only rewarded her sharp edge. So when he resurfaced as the lead campaign manager for her Republican rival, armed with recordings of private conversations and early drafts of her post-college blog, Naomi wasn't surprised. She was furious, not just at him, but at herself. For once, trusting someone who wore turtlenecks unironically. The smear campaign began on a Wednesday. Naomi had just finished a down town hall in the rain, her heels muddy, her voice raspy from yelling over a malfunctioning speaker. When the first headline dropped, Naomi Washington once called America's a glorified corporation of chaos in deleted blog posts. That night, cable news spawned it like candy floors. Is she un-American? One anchor asked dramatically. Anchor commentator added, she said this in 2016 during a heated protest. Do we want a president who compares the Constitution to a Yelp review? Naomi laughed bitterly. They never quoted her full sentence, which ended, "But America can also be a masterpiece in progress. If we admit we've spilled the paint, context, irrelevant," she tried to issue a statement. But the noise drowned her out. Within 48 hours, her email inbox was flooded with death threats. Her campaign office was edged, and a tweet claiming she once crossed out a Girl Scout went viral. She didn't even look and like cookies that much, except Thin Mints, which she now ate in the dark while dumb scrolling through hate comments. But if Naomi had mastered anything, it was the ability to spin storms into strategy. She called her team together. Half of them volunteered who lived off pizza and blind loyalty and declared war on the narrative. They want to paint me as angry. Fine, let's give them righteous fury dipped in truth. She launched a digital series called Unfiltered Naomi, where she read her old blog posts, read it aloud, and explained the context behind each one. Sometimes crying, sometimes laughing, always disarming. In one video, she talked about her struggle with identity, about how being a black woman in politics often meant code switching so aggressively she once accidentally called her auntie "ma'am" and apologized for being assertive during Thanksgiving. People started listening, not just voters, but disillusioned young people, immigrants, single moms, janitors, Uber drivers, and even retired army veterans who said, finally, someone who gets it and doesn't sound like a cereal box. Watch part 2, which is coming up in 2 days' time.